About 3 weeks ago, there was snow on the ground everywhere from the North Pole down to at least as far south as northern Iowa. The weather pattern was suggesting it wasn't going to warm up anytime soon, and we were wondering if we were ever going to get into the fields at all. But the pattern did shift. Not only did we see a pattern change, but the ground is starting to dry. We've gone from cold, wet weather to warm, dry weather, and it has impacted a lot of things. And May continues to look warmer than average as we get into the month. Rainfall, there have been some storms around, not very many, and generally speaking, conditions have been getting drier rather than wetter. We're not in any type of serious drought situation yet anywhere. It's pretty early in the summer for that, but there are areas that are starting to look a little dry. On the U.S. Drought Monitor nationally, you can see that there is here in the northern plains some areas, especially western North and South Dakota, that are a little too dry. Some of these spots getting into the moderate drought category, but that's actually relatively typical for late April, early May before you've had enough storms really going to populate the ground. That's not to say that things will improve. I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying that so far it's not a big problem. Red River Valley area is not bad. Most of eastern South Dakota not bad. And once you get down into the Corn Belt, Iowa, for example, if anything, it's a little too wet. The drought is here. Texas Panhandle area. There have been a few storms in Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas lately, but it's still very, very dry in those areas. I mentioned the Corn Belt doing just fine. There are some dry pockets up into southern Iowa, and the weather has been dry in the Corn Belt, but field conditions are generally doing just fine. Weather pattern shaping up. The jet stream has gone way north, at least for the time being, and that has allowed much warmer weather to move over western North America, and it looks like it will generally stay that way for a while. And by warm, a lot of this is 70s and 80s, a little bit lower than that in the higher elevations of the Rockies, but it's an above average pattern. Cold stuff is up around Hudson Bay, and it lingers there, and we're starting to get a few fingers of heat in the southern plains, and it looks like that will continue as we get into the second period, May 13th through 19th. Some of that's even going to sneak up into parts of the central part of the country, I think. Meanwhile, precipitation-wise, scant showers here and there. Probably not a lot of widespread rains, but you never know when a little system like the one you see here might generate just enough moisture to give us enough to get crops germinated and set things back to right. But I don't see a lot of widespread big precipitation centers in either of the northern plains or the upper Midwest over the next couple of weeks or so. It's just not looking like it's going to be that wet. There are signs of a jet stream pattern shifting into a west coast trough by the end of the period. Too early at this point to indicate if that's going to mean more beneficial rains in late May or not.